There's another example. Khanna was on with Chris Matthews. For days, they have been pushing this thing with James Carville. They have him all over the network now. I mean, look, I've watched this before. You haven't seen James Carville in years.
Why don't they get him a show?
Yes.
You don't see James Carville, but the day that he comes out and says anything negative about Bernie, all of a sudden he's on every show. That's what I'm talking about. And so here is Ro Khanna responding to James Carville. Now, you should not have to wait 4 days and bring on a surrogate for Bernie Sanders to have a different voice that is going to raise what Ro Khanna raises here.
With me now is U.S. Congressman Ro Khanna of California, who's a co-chair of the Bernie Sanders campaign. Congressman Khanna, tell me about your reaction to Carville says a couple things further. He said Bernie Sanders is not a Democrat. He's an ideologue. He says, this is Carville speaking, it's harder to win with Sanders. Your response, sir?
I'd like to remind Jim Carville about his own history. He ran Harris Wofford's campaign in 1991 in Pennsylvania. Guess what Wofford ran on? On single-payer national health care. So Carville obviously knows it can win. He can win on that. Second, Carville, look at what Carville said about Obama. He said the same exact things. Oh, Obama is rolling the dice. Obama is unelectable. Guess what? Barack Obama was a two-term president. So I would want to know what James Carville has to say about the Wofford win and his comments on President Obama.
I mean, there should be somebody around the studios to sort of say, like, hey, wait a second. You know, James Carville, I mean, he won 40 years ago.
Maybe he just really doesn't like Bernie, and one of his guilty pleasures is to, hate on Bernie. And with Mardi Gras coming up, you see he's wearing the colors now down in New Orleans.
The weird thing, though,
it was 27 years ago. The guy's in his mid-70s, and he's from the South. Okay. And so it's like at one point you got to say, maybe he's just not the arbiter of the end all be all truth.
It's just his personality. Like, he's saying what people have been saying on MSNBC for months now, but it's James Carville, and he's a bit of a character.
Hey man, he's saying it with a Southern accent. So that gets you an extra.
Looks like he wrestles gators. So now we're going to listen to him.
Look at me. I'm coming on TV wearing a rugby shirt. Yeah. You don't get on TV wearing a rugby shirt unless you know what you're talking about. I'll let you on with a rugby shirt. That's the way I establish my bona fides, my bona fides.